Howdy everybody. Kim here at Papa's Fixing Shop. I think I need to set the legs on this welding table. So, good news and bad news. I sold my Miller Dial Arc 250 HF. Beautiful machine. I got it from a good friend. Put new leads and everything on it, and it worked flawless, great. It's just way too big for me. I mean, first of all, I got a tiny shop, and that thing's the size of a washing machine, nearly, and so it took a lot of space. More importantly, it would like dim all the lights out turning it on because I have like a 50 amp service to the shop, and the welder took 50 amps. So, put it up for sale. A guy who knew what it was bought it immediately, and it enabled me to buy this little welder down here, which was what my plan was. I'll take a look at that in a minute. But this cart, if you see this welder cart, it's a Harbor Freight welder cart. It's a decent deal. It was like 89 bucks. But these handles are floppy, weird, and just poorly made. So I'm like taking a bunch of metal. I'm going to make a tray to sit right here so I can put another welder, maybe other stuff on there, and also strengthen all this. So that's what I'm up to. But this video is, I'll probably show some of this, building this little frame, but it's mostly to introduce you to my new welder. Stand by. Yahoo! How's it going? Piece of stainless steel. That's the top for that welder cart that I got from Harbor Freight. You know, it's a nice cart. For the price of it, it'd be hard to buy wheels. Plus all the metal and the time to build one. And it's got a holder for the little tubes of welding rod. It's nice. But the front was real wobbly, and so I made this metal frame out of a 1/2 inch angle iron and I think it's 3/4 inch. Hang on, in case anybody buys one of these little Harbor Freight things. So basically, here's a rectangle made a 1/2 inch angle, and the inside of that is around just a hair over 14 inches wide and 21.5 long. And I had some leftover metal, but down here is 1/2 inch pieces that go all the way across, and they go to the existing bolt holes on the top of these hooks. Here's just laying on the frame, and I put rivets in there. I'll get a closer look up of it later. It's easy to hammer out. In this case, I did all the welding with the new welder. On that subject, I still suck at TIG welding. Yeah, I spent most of my life doing arc welding and MIG welding. And it's where you just point the thing at it and spray metal and it fills it in. I did start working on this just to play around with a TIG. To, you know, practice is how you get better, and you have to have something to practice on. So I'm thinking this is going to end up being a Scorpion. Old pliers and bits of metal. So anyway, back to the welder. I sold my Dial Arc 250, and I mentioned before, it's a great welder. There's some videos of it earlier on in my YouTube stream there. It started with a big 10-foot press brake that big cast iron parts from 80, 90 years ago or whatever had worn out, and I had to machine parts and braze it to fix it, and the guy who owned it gave me that welder. I always wanted more of a modern inverter welder that can do stainless aluminum and everything. And in this case I got an Eastwood 200 digital welder. So let me pop the camera out and I'll give you a closer look. All right, here's a welder. Anybody who wants to get one, you can look them up. It's a very nice welder. But more importantly, this cart it's on that I'm doing here, this is the frame. This is the existing bolt holes here. And I started by putting this 1/2-inch strip of 1/16 inch steel in there, because when I go to move it, these handles would just twist back and forth. So I ended up doing it. See if I get this in right. There it is. That's my cart. Very nice. So I'm putting these aluminum rails to hold the center of this welder. I had some blocks of wood temporarily just to keep it steady. This is the final position for this little guy. Quick tip on when you attach things, if you're the kind of person that likes to see your fasteners look like they're all lined up on both sides, I'm using this little leg right here, the edge of it, this screw, and the other plastic bit of the foot, and I'm going right about the middle of this thing by eye, pretty close to there, and then I drill a hole. Oh, left it in there. So then I go back over here where the screw is. That did it again. I'm going in there at an angle, and that makes it difficult. So once I get the, it's clamped down, get all the holes. This is a trick. So a lot of people will put these guys in there and then go after them with a rivet gun. And that works most of the time, but sometimes you got to get it in a rivet gun and get it where it's got a little tension. That way it starts the first time and you're not shoving the rod through there while you're trying to lower the rivet onto it, the rivet gun onto the actual rivet. So it's like I'm preloading it first. I can feel it grabbing it. Just like that. Un más. If I go in there first without preloading, a lot of times it walks away from the arbor in there. Of course, my rivet gun, I'll get around where I can see it. This guy, hand riveter, it's down, I think it's 40 years old. Good shape for being 40 years old, huh? What happens when you take care of shit? Anyway, that's what I'm doing. I'm attaching that, and down underneath is my son has a little Harbor Freight Tig Welder. I stuck it under there.